Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Saturday Night Fever live stream. I hope the audio was a little better on the intro there. Redid it and toned it down a bit. I appreciate you all being here. Yes, Zen, I was giving you a hard time starting a couple seconds late since you said that I needed to get that mess cleaned up that I used for the thumbnail. But have no fear, we are here, and I appreciate you all being here tonight. Love it. Furloughs Aquatics says, James, I thought you were going to have Zen do the stream so you could clean that mess. Yeah, and I still have to clean all those tanks as well. I need to get them scrubbed out before they're just put away into storage. But we have got 28 people here tonight. 18 thumbs ups. Thank you all very, very much for that. Of course, we'll be taking your questions throughout the stream or comments, so feel free to put those in the chat. Just put the @ symbol and Fish Room Fever, and that will highlight for me so it sticks out. But yeah, that's it. Zen, you're covering tonight's show, correct? No? Okay. All right.
Bring her up here. Zen's the coolest.
Absolutely. And of course, I think everybody knows my buddy here, my pal, my co-host, Chattanooga Ed, but if you don't, be sure and go check out his channel. Link at the top of the description. Again, a huge congratulations to you, buddy. Had your first monetized stream this past Thursday, so very, very proud of you for that.
Thank you, sir.
But we're going to talk a little bit about some of the chaos, and I forget who it was. Somebody said there is no chaos as long as you're not messy. Let me see if I can scroll back up and find it. Or was it Roundhouse Aquatics?
If you have Zen in your name, it's never chaos.
Right. Yeah, Roundhouse Aquatics. There's no such thing as fish room chaos unless you're messy. I can somewhat agree with that. I tend to live in a what I call controlled chaos, which I know is it's like jumbo shrimp, right? But it can certainly get interesting. I want to talk about some of the things that make it a little bit easier when you're going through transitions. And then, you all let me know in the chat and any questions you've got about maybe how you can prep to do a fish room move around or anything like that. But give me some of your tips and tricks and things like that, and maybe some problems that you've run into in the past trying to move tanks around. I'd be happy to talk about that stuff. All right, let me get back down here to the bottom. Ginger says, I have organized chaos, emphasis on the organized. Yeah, absolutely. But so one thing, we'll start out with what's going to sound like a shameless promotion here, but it's not. But hashtag not sponsored. The aquarium co-op pumps definitely make life a lot easier when you've got a lot of fish tanks to move around. I've moved over 24, almost 36 tanks around this past week, and it's a lot easier when you don't have 30 hang-on backs to deal with, 30 canisters. You don't have to worry about rewiring, your house to make sure that you can handle the electrical load when you're moving things around. So, with and this is for any linear air pump. I happen to have the co-op pump, but in moving things around, it's literally just a matter of maybe 2 minutes tops, and you've reset your system. So earlier today, I moved a rack of 6 tanks specifically, and then a bunch of other tanks that moved around, but the other tanks were all kind of still close to air. The 6 tanks went to a wall that had no air run to it, but it was simply a matter of snipping that PVC, installing a T into it, and then adding an extension to an arm that I already had valves tapped into that I pulled out of the first move. And that was it. And I was good to go. I had filtration in, I had air. Didn't have to worry about moving any types of pumps or anything. So that's a plus. That's one of the things that this time around I found made life a lot easier. It's the first time I've moved a lot of tanks since switching everything over to sponge filters that were on a linear air pump. And that really it's really simple. I didn't have to worry about stuff and fiddle with where am I going to put the pumps now and all that kind of nonsense. Papley Creek Aquatics, what is going on? Dropping that $1 super pooper sticker on there. I appreciate you putting that big brown pile of fertilizer on the chat, my friend. Of course, always good to see you as well. And Rescue Dog Treat says, I know you're downsizing. I think 16 less tanks. Why? I am trying to consolidate some things. And also, I know we talked about this in one of the past live streams. I think live stream before last. But I really feel like a lot of times, we go more cowbell, right? More tanks and more tanks. And, I mentioned how a lot of times we preface it with, I only have 16 tanks, or I only have 8 tanks, or I only have 22 tanks, because there's this subconscious need to have more and more. And so and so's got 70, and this person's got 100, and this person has 200. I only have 15, so it's not really worth talking about. But I think a lot of times we oversize, when really we each need to right size the hobby for ourselves. It's really easy to get to a point where it's great to have 80, 90, 100 tanks because of the variety of things that you can do. But when you're spending more time doing maintenance, dealing with issues, those things, and not actually enjoying your fish, and I kind of paused there because I feel like you should, at least I enjoy tank maintenance. I know a lot of people do. That is a time when you really
I don't think I'm
in
live.
touch
Am
with
I?
it. Yeah, you're live.
I'm frozen. It looks like he's frozen.
Now you're live. It's probably we're both going to look frozen, but they're not going to see that we're frozen, and we're going to be frozen to each other type of night. If I had to guess, thank you, StreamYard, for that. But oh no, you are frozen on the live feed as well. So hopefully Ed comes back.
I feel like I'm back.
I feel like you're back. You look back on the live feed also. So hopefully we're good there.
I split my stream for a second, and it's Rico's fault.
Shame on you.
Yeah, he wanted me to look at a Godzilla shirt, and I had to do it because it's Godzilla, and it messed everything up.
Oh my goodness. I really feel like we should right size the hobby for ourselves, and everybody that's different. For some people, the correct amount of tanks for them, or the optimal amount, might be 90 fish tanks. For some people, it's 1 fish tank, and there's nothing wrong with having just 1 fish tank and being perfectly content with that 1 tank. And I want people to know that. And I don't want to, I like talking about it, but I know we just talked about it the other day, so I hate to go off and go on that tangent again, and bore you all. But I really do feel that that's important, that we make it, open in the community. I know we generally do, but a lot of times, anytime someone's like, hey, I'm setting up 4 more tanks, we're always like, yes, that is great. But is it? I don't think it always is. That's just my opinion. Touching back on the maintenance thing, I think maintenance should be an enjoyable thing. But there does come a point when you're stressing over, okay, I'm getting behind on doing water changes because I just can't move that much water. Then you go, well, you just do an auto water change system. Well, that you can, and those are great. But I feel like that also can bring you out of touch with your tanks. You really, really have a feel for what's going on with your fish and your plants and that ecosystem when your hand's in that tank. Oop, let me get back up here. I had scrolled up and stopped.
I was afraid I went like that again when you went quiet.
I hope not. I'm just kidding. Not
somehow
you can't do it with the fish behind you.
I was on the wrong wavelength. I don't know if when I turned on my telephone it put me on a different one or what happened.
Oh, Ed, you're always on the wrong wavelength.
I know.
All right, let's see. IHSPS's Tech Tribe says, I am in the process of organizing my supplies now that I have more than a drawer full totes and gallons of Ziploc baggies. Absolutely. Another thing that I find great for organizing the fish room, you can get it at the Dollar Tree most of the time. And it's just the little dollar shoe boxes, and they have some slightly larger ones as well. But I find those are really nice for organizing around the fish rooms. And cheap. So you got to love that.
I use these. They fit perfect underneath my racks. And I've got a whole mess of them for every type of rock that I have. Every time I go to my local fish store, I buy 2 rocks. So that way eventually I'll have a big selection of cool stuff.
And it's neat. It's not I enjoy looking at your little collection when I'm over there. You know, it's always, of course, expanding between the times I get to see it. But first time I was like, wow, look at all this, you know, additional. Because I guess it could be also called extra, but all this neat stuff that you've got, you know, accumulated. Because I'm very much more typically of the, I need it, I'm going to go buy it now, and I'm going to use it, and I'm going to pick it specifically for that project. And sometimes I have a couple extra pieces of things lying around, but I would very much like to do like what you've got going there. And of course, Sean Peck Tech, he's got an awesome setup of extras, and I know a lot of people do. So I always enjoy looking at all that stuff. All right.
Yeah. Actually, I just bought a new box.
Oh, nice.
Or rocks. I don't know what they are, though. I just left them on the floor. Nico's interested.
Get him, Nico.
Oh, okay. A new piece of wood.
Oh, nice.
Mopani. Oh, and then I also got some weights for plants, just in case.
Always good to have.
Yep. And then this is a heavy rock. Ah! I wasn't trying to steal the show.
Oh, no, you're good, buddy. Everybody loves to see the new additions that you pick up.
This is just a little one, but I liked it because it's a triangle, and I thought for a nano tank,
absolutely.
Might be nice. I really like the layers in it.
I was to say, the layering to it's really nice.
And then I got this one also.
Very, very cool.
So, yep.
See, Roundhouse Aquatic says, I got a Gemco. You can plug it in anywhere. It uses like only a 1/2 amp or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. And the co-op pump is the same. My thing is, you know, how many of us, especially when, you know, dealing with hang-on backs and things like that, you've got, you know, power strips and probably a lot of things that we shouldn't be doing electrically wise, or home insurance wise. If you've ever flipped a breaker because you plugged one too many aquarium things in, throw one in the chat for me. That's when you know you're kind of verging on a potential problem. And that's one of the great things about the air pumps. One, you get to not have the hang-on backs going, and 2, you don't have individual air pumps. So I think I easily freed up 40 outlets by switching over to that. 1, it saves you a lot of money on the power bill. 2, you know, anybody who's had to deal with, you know, just moving one hang-on back filter, you know, you go to move the thing, and really you have to kind of take it out and clean it when you move it. Otherwise, you're going to get all that backwash going into the tank and all that funky stuff from it being unplugged and sloshed around. If you're moving 30 tanks, that's a lot of filters to have to clean while you're in the process of trying to move fish and tanks and not break glass boxes and make sure things, you know, level out and everything fits right and all that wonderful stuff. Ginger says, I have more baby Apistos after the freeze. Woohoo! Okay, sorry, you may continue. Well, congratulations, Zen. Very, very cool.
That is
I feel like there should be a video on that. I feel like somebody hit 400 subscribers recently, the Zen Ginger, and they had mentioned doing a video again if they got 400. So not calling you out or anything on live, but you know, just mentioning it, the Zen Ginger.
Do you know who number 401 was?
I don't.
My mom.
There you go. It was me. I held out. No.
I was like, no, I logged on my mom's account and did it on hers.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So Just a Power says, avoiding chaos without having any closets for storage sucks. LOL. Yeah. So I'm very much a fan of building stands anyways, because I can custom fit them and tailor everything to my needs in terms of height and dimensions and exactly what tanks I want on there. But I also like to plan in some under area storage. So the rack of 20 longs that I moved earlier today, those of y'all that have seen it before, it's got, when I built it, I made sure there was enough room that I could slide a 10-gallon underneath it, not with functional space, but enough to be able to store one under there. So I could keep a couple quarantine tanks under there. Now, I've found that I keep about a dozen totes under that. I've got some totes that are just the perfect size to slide under it. And then, one's got PVC fittings and one's got other type of, filtration parts. One's full of air supplies. So kind of building in storage. This that you see behind me here, it actually has a plastic lid that goes across it. It sits on top where these doors are. And this is designed to be used in a fish store. And that works great for all of my 5-gallon water jugs, which are more of a big thing in saltwater. But it's great. I can sit on my empty 5-gallon water jugs up there and some other stuff, and they're kind of out of the way. I had considered building a rack for these 2 tanks to sit on, just so they'd be higher up off the ground. But I was like, well, realistically, I lose all that storage space unless I just build it high enough for them to go, for storage to go under it. And at that point, I'm just kind of trading out. So I opted to leave that alone. But yeah, it definitely makes a difference when you don't have closets for storage. I do have a storage shed, so that helps. But, got to get the things cleaned out and rinsed before I stick them in there. Then I had a tank dropped off to me yesterday. We'll talk about that here shortly. I'm going to get caught up on chat. We had a couple of awesome people in here. Danny Ken Aquatics throwing a $5 super sticker with that mic drop pair. I appreciate that, brother. I really, really do. Always good to see you, Kenny. I'm assuming it's Kenny, might be Danny. But either way, always good to see y'all. There's that wonderful Southern hospitality coming out. But thank you for that. And Mike's Aquatics and Things with $2 big red thumbs up. Thank you for that super sticker, my friend Mike. Sorry, I did a doze off during your stream earlier. Nothing personal, but I stayed up last night. I should say stayed up. It wasn't intentional. I did not go to sleep last night. And then I moved tanks starting at like 6 o'clock this morning, all day long, moving tanks, replumbing things, dealing with shenanigans. I went out to get a couple things for the fish room move around. I wanted to go get some aquarium backing for a tank, that new tank. And it's like they had 3.5 feet and I needed 4 feet. And it was just one of those kind of days. I was going to go to Home Depot to get the fittings to adjust the PVC for the linear air pump. And there was not a parking spot to be found. I was like, I'm not fooling with this. I'll scrounge up fittings somewhere and I'll make things work. Which, incidentally, if you ever find yourself without a 1-inch PVC cap, you can, I'm not saying this is necessarily advised, but I don't see a negative to it, so to speak, other than it could potentially blow out if you don't put enough tape on it. But you can tape off the end of that 1-inch PVC to cap off your loop so that you can get pressure to all of those sponges.
I have no idea what you mean, but I'll just shake my head and say,
so,
okay.
If you don't have your system on a loop, if you're running a linear air pump, you don't have it on a loop, but you don't have to have it on a loop. There's a lot of freedom to it.
I understand now.
But like I have an open end right here across from me. Didn't have a cap. Need to get a cap for it. And so I just took a plastic bag and I kind of shoved some of it up in there and wrapped it around. And then I tape till it was nice and solid and airtight, and it holds pressure just fine. So
I got you. We see mine's a loop.
Yeah, and I've done the loop before, but it really depends on your layout. I've got mine starts in what would be the living room, which of course is, I think it's going to end up with 32 fish tanks, 31 or 32 fish tanks in the new setup. So just that right there, I mentioned downsizing, but just that one room's still going to have, 30 plus tanks in it. Hallway is still 6-7 tanks in it. This room here still half a dozen tanks easily, maybe more. We'll see. I've got some plans for that. But I guess that's just to emphasize I'm not going anywhere, even though I might be downsizing. And that just gives me more time to do some more fun things with you all as well. The new layout in the living room, the main fish room, it's really nice. I've got, tanks, all four walls, lots of open floor space now, which is nice. And I've got, of course, the TV mounted in there. So I could sit there and, watch YouTube and look at the tanks and watch live streams. I'm thinking about, at one point, possibly doing some live streaming from there. It wouldn't take much to move this stuff over into there. I just need to quiet down a few pumps that I've got running in there right now. But I was sitting there thinking, because, of course, I had to digress there. And I was just looking at tanks. I was like, well, you know what? I'd really like to do maybe this scape with this tank. Or what can we do really nice? I'd like to go through individually to each one of the tanks and actually put a little bit more effort into them in terms of making them look better. A lot of mine is utilitarian. It's got fish, throw some plants in there. Everything's cycled. Everything's got a good natural balance. It works great. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the most aesthetically pleasing thing in the world. So I think that we're going to have some fun projects coming up, rescaping some tanks. I don't know if I've mentioned it yet or not, but we're going to be doing I'm sure I have, but we're going to be doing a 110-gallon planted community tank. So I think that'll be fun. I really want to put some effort forth into that, into making it look good. Not that I am a professional aquascape or anything, but I want to put some effort into it versus just threw some stuff in there, shove some plants down in the substrate, got some plants floating in there, call it good. See, Zen Ginger says, I have no business keeping tanks in the double digits, but there's 22, LOL. Yeah, it happens. Not always a bad thing, but there's definitely a point, and I'm sure a lot of us have gotten there, and a lot of people are headed there, that it gets to be too many tanks. Roundhouse Aquatic says, is downsizing tanks to get better internet? Yeah, that's it. I'm downsizing it. That way we get better signal. No, I hardwired that stuff in. Hardwire all these wonderful things. You see here, all right, I'm going to roll through the chat so we can get caught up now that I've kind of gone, yes, you could say ranty. Hopefully that wasn't too ranty. It was more just kind of talking with you all and touching base. But I see lots of highlighted stuff. So let's get to that. Zen Ginger, as always, thank you for dropping the links. Roundhouse Aquatic says, Fisher and Fever, say you can't use super glue for something you want to put in tank that's plastic because the super glue will melt it. Somewhat. Other glues can you use? Somewhat. So the super glue will melt it some. What other glues can you use? There we go. Getting the paws in the proper place. That's important. I really haven't messed with a whole lot of other adhesives. You can definitely use, of course, aquarium silicone. One thing that you may look into, it's generally just referred to as reef putty, but it's used in the saltwater side of things. When you want to get, you can use it to adhere rocks together, things of that nature. You're trying to build out your reef scape. And if anybody's ever tried to stack live rock and get it in a manner that's stable, that can be fun. So reef putty is one of those things that definitely comes in handy. Maybe looking at that, just depending upon what it is. Autumn silicone would probably do it. I think I've not personally done it, but I've heard of people using a hot glue gun.
I've done it.
So there you go. I figured you might have,
it works.
But I didn't want to just outright say it.
I've used it for years.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's, depending upon the application, again, I've used zip ties before, things of that nature. If it's a small plant, you could use threads and things like that. I don't even know that it's a plant that you're trying to attach to anything, but just kind of touching all the different ways we can adhere things safely underwater. Go through here. What's going on, T-Bones, fishies? Good day. Appreciate you being here with us. Roll on
You
down.
can
Yeah,
also,
Elizabeth Kaiser has overloaded a breaker before. Yeah, that's never fun. I've done that a couple of times. You plug in that new light or that one extra air pump or that one additional hang on back and pops. Half the house goes dark. The kids are going, the power's out. Like, no, it's fine. Just give me a minute. I got to go flip it.
black pond foam. You can use it. It's kind of sticky. Like if you want to stick a bunch of rocks on something that's, like let's say you're taking just one of those orange pots, you can cover it with that stuff and then roll it in sand and it's good to go.
Absolutely. All right. Let me go back up here. I saw a couple of non-highlighted things I want to grab as well. Where was it? John McKenzie says, everybody has to find that balance to keep the hobby fun for yourself. Absolutely. Not just fun for yourself, but better for your fish. I mean, it really is. The more engaged you are with your aquarium, I feel like the better the hobby is. I feel like the better you are as a hobbyist and the better life that your fish have. So it's all around a more positive thing, in my opinion, the more that you're interacting with your fish and actually connecting with that aquarium. I mean, there are a lot of people that, this hobby also helps them in other aspects in their life, whether it be anxiety or things of that nature. A lot of people, get into aquariums to help deal with other addictions. So it could definitely be easy if you're filling the place of one addiction to overcompensate with another addiction. But it's definitely one of those places that a lot of people go to find peace, and you can do that with one tank. There are a lot of people, that do that. All right. On through here. Lumpy Dog, what's going on? Says you need to spend time in front of every single aquarium to keep up. If not, you're just warehousing fish. Just my 2 cents. Absolutely. Totally agree with you. And at minimum, I recommend spending time watching your fish as you feed them, giving everybody a checkup, if you will, when you feed your tanks, kind of making sure things are okay. But even just that minute or so really doesn't give you the insight that I feel true interaction does. I think if I remember correctly, Corey's got a loach, I want to say, that doesn't come out until like 11 minutes and 47 seconds after you feed the tank. It's like right there at 12 minutes. He's found is when that thing actually comes out. So if he's not watching that tank for 12 minutes and he's just throwing food in, he doesn't know for sure, oh, that loach is eating. It'd be very easy if that loach wasn't eating to go, well, I've been throwing food in the tank every day. Surely the guy's eating. Well, if he's not throwing in enough bloodworms so that there's 11 minutes worth of bloodworms laying on the bottom that the other fish haven't already eaten, that guy comes out and nothing's there. And I feel like that was a good example. I think it was a loach. I know I heard him talk about that somewhere at some point.
I had a zebra loach die yesterday.
I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. Well, that's always
He was a big
rough.
fatty. I don't know why he died. He looked super healthy. Well.
I mean, it's just been age and natural causes. I mean, it definitely happens. It's going to happen to all of us. I was trying to figure out a way to phrase this without pulling directly from Corey, but to paraphrase him, is something along the lines of, I'm better at keeping fish because I've killed more fish than you have. That's really how it is. It's very much a live and learn hobby. And not that that's okay. And I don't ever want to come across as, fish is a throwaway hobby, because I very much don't think it is. And I think it's treated like that, unfortunately. But there's definitely a strong learning curve with the hobby. Let's see. All right. Lunatic Fringe says you may also find a tool cabinet on wheels handy to keep supplies in the wheels. Come in handy rolling a cart of supplies around a fish room. Absolutely. If I had the room, that would definitely be something for me. That is a wonderful, wonderful idea. All right. Let's get back on these highlighted comments. Paul Sotero, how are you doing? Says auto water chain systems are great for dedicated fish room, basements, garages. Not so much for converted bedrooms. So have Python will water change. Absolutely. at some point, I will probably do a partial auto water change. And what I mean by that is I'm going to run PEX tubing, and this is not in the immediate future, so don't be waiting for this video in case you've been wanting to set up a PEX tubing autofill system. I'm sure somebody else has got one, and somebody else will have one before I get mine out. But at some point, I do want to set up an auto fill, but I still want to do the manual draining with the Python that makes me get in the tanks, mess with the stuff, you know, check on the fish, look at the plants, you know, how's the substrate doing, all of those wonderful things. Do I have any funny stuff going on? You know, are the fish doing well? That's probably as far as I would ever want to go, because that's going to force me to still be in the tanks, but at the same time, be able to flip a valve and fill everything back up. So at least, you know, maybe that one room, do that with that 30 or so tanks, so that I could just go through and drain everything, dose my prime out, and then just flip it over, get things filled up. But still keep me involved with it. Go through here. T-Bones Fishies, thank you very much for that. Very much appreciated. From Down Under with the $2 super sticker with the hey you awesome sunglasses pair. Thank you for that. We're gonna dump that out there. I didn't open them up beforehand. I appreciate you, T-Bone. It's always good to see you. I just absolutely pop that. Absolutely love, you know, that we have a worldwide community on here. It's one of the things I think is amazing about YouTube and the internet, that we can branch out all across the world, you know, connect, share stories, share experiences, help people out, and just hang out together as fish nerds, right? Danikin Aquatic says, I blow circuits in every room, James. I'm about to start talking to the neighbors about running extension cords, LOL. Well, if you don't talk to them about it, they can't say no, right, Kenny? I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Don't steal your neighbor's power to run your fish tanks. If you're stealing power to run your fish tanks, you probably have a problem. All right, let's roll on down through here. I'm having fun talking, but I know I'm getting behind.
You know what we're going to be doing this time next week?
What's that?
Well, we are going to be in Cincinnati this time next week. Now, I don't know if we're going to be doing this from the car driving back, or if we're going to, if we want to go up on Friday or come back on Sunday. You know, it's up to you, but it'll be cool. If anybody's going to be going to the Cincinnati swap, we're going to be there.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Now, where does Lumpy Dog live? Does he live in Ohio?
Oh,
that still might be a haul.
It's hard for me to remember where everybody lives. Mississippi. Hippies in Mississippi.
Yeah. I was going to trade fish with Lumpy Dog a long time ago.
Right.
And now I don't remember what we were going to swap or anything, because the whole disease came and I was planning on being everywhere last year, and it never happened.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Lion's Den says, Fish with Fever, best place to sell shrimp online. Dan's Fish, Get Gills. Get Gills is probably, and you've got Our Fish Collective as well. Something like that, somewhere where you could get in a community. You know, you could maybe do, I was going to say Craigslist, but then you're really doing local sales. And when you ask the best place to sell online, I assume you're trying to branch out besides your local area. So I would say look at Our Fish Collective and Get Gills. I'm sure there are probably some other places like that. Oh, Lord, I can't think of it. I've never used it. Aquabed. Aquabed's another big place that's been around for a while. So check those out and see how you fare on their Lion's Den.
Tom Patterson's going to be there. That's awesome.
Nice.
And Lumpy Dog. Oh, no, that was Chubby Guppy is in Missouri. I think Missouri is my old club in St. Louis is going to be having a swap on the same day in St. Louis. Just throwing that out there. I know it was today.
I
don't know. Darn it, I'll find out later.
Sean Chadwick says, do you know of a good thermostat controller for my aquarium heaters? Is it Inkwell? Birdwell? Oh, God, I can never get the name right.
I always wanted to get one of those.
I have to look at it to remember the name correctly. It's one of those two.
And I lost
somebody will have already said it by the time I look at this if they haven't already.
Well, I didn't lose a whole tank. The heater went crazy hot and killed all my Santa Maria inlers that I got from the fish tank barn from Mike. But the idiots survived, which I thought it would have probably been the other way around. But
Inkbird, that's what it was. Okay, so Inkbird. I will say when you go to get that, they have upgraded. Sorry, get this eye to work. Wake up. They've done an upgrade. So look for the revision when you go to purchase it. You'll see one of them has a probe that's specifically made for aquariums. The first model works in aquariums, but the second one was specifically remade for aquariums because of some very rare but potential issues with the original one. But the Inkbird is what I would recommend. Pew Fish Zone says, so single wide can handle water load. Yes, absolutely. A lot of that will vary depending upon what year your house or your trailer is. Older is not necessarily worse. You'll find that some of the older models are built with much heavier timber, much higher quality wood than some of the newer models. I've got one that's kind of in the middle in terms of the timeline. It's built with good wood, but nothing's like it used to be in terms of the really, really heavy duty lumber that we used to see. It was a little less refined, but it was certainly a little bit more sturdy. But in my particular instance, the load has not been an issue thus far. I do recommend if you're going to go long term with a lot of aquariums and you're in a mobile home or you're somewhere that's elevated, you're not on a concrete slab and you've got room to do it. They do make some screw out jacks that you can use for bracing, and I would definitely recommend. I think you can probably still find them on Amazon. It's like maybe $50 for a pair of them last time I looked, so not super expensive. You could get 8 of those things in the proper timber and do some nice bracing. Use railroad ties, the wooden ones, and do some proper bracing under the structure if you're going to go long term, just because weight will eventually lead to sag. If anybody's ever seen, they're not even really a thing anymore, but water beds used to be a thing. King size water bed in a trailer, after 15-20 years, that floor would be sagging. So just same premise there.
With that said, James is downsizing, but he's saving his tanks because someday he does want to get like a pole barn where he has a solid flat concrete surface.
Absolutely. I will definitely one day it's going to happen. So I think I will end up with just about as many empty tanks as I have full tanks, but it is what it is. I'll still have the tanks, and I did, and I'll mention this funny. I'll talk about the story after I get caught up, but I did add another tank yesterday, of all things. It was weird, and I'll tell you how that happened here in a moment. Big Tank Hank, what's going on? I'm going to be hanging out on Big Tank Hank's channel in the not too distant future, so be sure and stay tuned for more details on that. We will let you know the day before it happens, or we'll let you know well before it happens, but we will remind you the Thursday before it happens for sure. No, that's not where I was at. Okay.
Speaking of which,
yes.
I'll be hanging out with Priscilla tonight at 10 o'clock.
Very nice. And we have a special guest for Thursday night. I want to confirm that it is this Thursday, but we both said Thursday. Yeah, Thursday's great. So it should be this Thursday. If not, then it would be the next Thursday. But Sean Peck from Peck Tech, he's not been on the channel in quite some time. He's going to come hang out with us on Thursday, so that'll be a blast. Welcome back, Oddball says, okay, just scared the crap out of myself. I finally got light timers, and I forgot what time it was, and all the lights in my house just turned off, LOL. Yeah, that's always interesting. It's really bad when you're working on something and the lights pop back on and you go, oh God, is it already that time in the morning? So it's definitely one way to kind of bring you back to reality when those timers switch on and off and you go, oh, I didn't know it was that late or that early.
I did talk to Sean today also. He won't be able to make it to Cincinnati with us. But I do have some other stuff to talk to you about that's nobody else would care. So I'll remind me to talk about that afterwards.
Absolutely. Select Pet says, Fish Room Fever, I thought you weren't going to talk about that funny stuff you got going on when you were live streaming, LOL. Yeah, absolutely. Good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you being here. Select Pet. Rolling and scrolling. As Ginger said, did Ed go see Rob today, and did he get anything cool? So
I saw Rob yesterday,
yeah.
And I actually got a whole bunch of cool stuff. I got my first bottles of Repashy. And I don't know. Have you ever messed with Repashy?
I have not yet.
I'm going to actually do a video of me making Repashy for the first time. And it might be a complete disaster, but it might be worth watching.
Well, I mean,
the wonderful thing about Repashy is you can add stuff to it because it's like Jello. You can always add things to Jello. Like Dan from Get Gills adds shells for his Repashy for his puffers to chew down, to wear down their little beaks. Well, I'm going to add some spirulina powder to mine.
Nice.
Because I'd like to get more spirulina in my guppy's diet because that's something I don't get with my omega-1. So, and I was giving the shrimp that was infused, the frozen shrimp, but I'd rather just give them live baby brine shrimp than frozen shrimp.
Hey,
so
absolutely.
So I think this is the way that I can get the spirulina in their diet.
I think that's a very good idea. Rico Stan says, did you happen to get some stickers in the mail from one of your Harry subscribers? I was going to say Harry members, but that just sounded odd. I did not check the mail. I will probably, I know I will be out there Monday. I have to ship out an order Monday. I know it's not live stuff, so please don't everybody yell at me that I don't have fish listed. There's still ice in the tanks that are on the porch that had a little bit of rainwater left in them, even though I siphoned them all out over the weekend. So it's still not time for shipping live stuff, but I have a dry goods order that needs to go out Monday. So I will definitely check the good old P.O. box then, because I don't think you have my home address. You might. Didn't check that box either, but I will definitely be checking Monday at the P.O. box. Paul Stero says, I've got quite a few really nice fish from Aquabid. Absolutely. Mike's gotten some awesome fish from Aquabid. I've seen a lot of really nice things come off of Aquabid. I just personally have never used them. I've been fortunate enough that if I needed something online, because it was required to continue living. If I ever needed a fish online, I've been able to find it through a friend, so to speak, somebody that I interact with that, oh, hey, Jesse's got these guppies in Hawaii, or this other person's got this. So I've never had to get there, to get on there to actually purchase anything. Though Ed and I have spent, I think we spent like a 30-minute stream one time just looking through Aquabid with you all in the chat, checking stuff out.
That was a lot of fun.
It was. It really was.
We probably should do another one of those midnight late nighters because that is just cool. I've used Aquabid and I've always been lucky and got it right, or got lucky.
Yeah.
Because when I was doing I've been doing Aquabid, I don't know if it's been around for 20 years. It's been around for a long time. And it was before I knew the YouTube people to have extra help and stuff, what to do and what not to. And I didn't even look at their reviews and stuff like that. And now it's very important to read the reviews because a lot of people on there are scammers. So that's something you got to be careful about.
Definitely.
But
very, very good advice.
It was the only way for me to get angels for a while in St. Louis was through Aquabid. And then I've gotten a lot of plants through Aquabid also.
And Paul Sotero reminding us that the probe is black on the Inkbird aquarium models. Yes, so that's what you're looking for. I believe it was a transition of plastic or some type of it was a non-metal. But yeah, look for the black tip on that Inkbird that is aquarium specific. And I do think it's awesome when the hobby is using a product enough to influence the manufacturer to make a specific change to suit our needs. The fact that Inkbird's like, oh, there are enough people that are sticking this thing in an aquarium. We want to make an aquarium version of it and specifically say, hey, if y'all want to use these for aquariums, try this model instead. I always think that's a plus. Roll on down through here. I saw a couple other highlighted things. Select Pet says, just go for the Fish Room Fever storefront, then make it by appointment only thing. One day. I have big plans, dreams, and aspirations. We won't get into that because we've got 14 minutes left, and I'm a big-headed individual. But I've got very big dreams and plans, and I don't quit. I don't give up. So we're going to keep on pushing. So who knows? You never know what's in store, Select Pet. Roll on down through here. What is going on, Multi-Tank Addiction? How's it going, brother? My brother from another mother. That tank is looking good, my friend. I was sneaking a peek at that earlier on your channel. Looking good. Really, really making me want to get the 220 set up. At this point, the 220-gallon is the only tank left to go in the main fish room that is not up. And that's as far as I'll go into detail on that. Members, you all got to get a sneak peek. Kind of what the plan is. I'm going to do another video for you all to kind of get you up to speed on where we're at now. I do have a video that's already uploaded and ready to go on the phase 1 move, and it's actually got some of the tips and tricks that we talked about on the Thursday night stream, the odd items, tips, and tricks. It was kind of what made me think of doing that subject, but probably wait till Tuesday to release that. Maybe Monday or Tuesday, we'll see. I haven't figured out exactly the best spot to do video releases now because there's so much going on. But I didn't want to throw it out there on a Friday or a Sunday when we already, you see me Thursday, you see me Saturday. God knows you're sick of me by then. Let's give it a day or two before we put any more content out there, right? Sean Chadwick with the $3 thumbs up, fist bump pair. What is going on? Hope you're having a wonderful day. Very much appreciate that. Just appreciate you being here. Go on through here. I know somebody mentioned a double wide trailer and like a 30-gallon tank was their comfort level. That's perfectly fine, and I can understand that. I've definitely been in some single wides, double wides, even standard houses that would be my comfort level. And not necessarily that your floors are in that condition, but it's better to be safe than sorry. And you never want to go beyond what you feel is safe when setting up aquariums in your house. 100 people watching. Thomas L. Seaman says, thank you for that. I hadn't even looked. I had not even looked. We got about 10 minutes left, and then we're going to head over to Jeff Rose. Thank you, Zen, for dropping that link there. Yeah, sitting right around 100 people watching and 69 thumbs up. Thank you all very, very much for that. I appreciate it on this lazy Saturday afternoon. I think we've got... I don't know that I have any other guests that I'm going to announce right now. I'm always in talks with people to come hang out. A lot of times it's people that you've seen in the past, but maybe it's been a while. Sometimes it's a couple people. But I know I've got at least a half a dozen people that we're working at bringing on the show / back on the show. And we'll give you more details as those things draw closer. So real quick, as I was moving things around, how did I not see that? Oh, because I hadn't scrolled down that far and it just popped up. So before he leaves, because I just now saw this, why is it not showing on my live feed here? All right, this is weird. It didn't show on my other screen, but I see here Peck Tech with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Sean. Very much appreciate it. It says, off to play D&D, but great show, guys. Come over and see the new tank. Definitely need to do that. Definitely need to get caught up with you. And Sean, I very much appreciate that. Looking forward to hanging out with you, buddy. Really am. Enjoy the D&D. It's always a fun time, right? All right. I can't believe I missed that. I just happened to look at my other screen over here and saw it was here, and I didn't see it over there. So I'll make this real quick. We got 10 minutes. I still got another super sticker to thank, and I'm sure we'll get one or two more questions. But long story, very short. Maybe a year ago, we'll say 9 months, 12 months ago, I was in a hardware store. I was getting lumber for a rack build and got to talking to the gentleman that was working in the hardware department. Mentioned it was for fish tanks. I was looking for straight boards, and we were kind of talking about lumber quality. And I was like, it's for fish tanks, so I really don't want it doing this while I'm putting glass boxes on it. Anyways, end up that we talk back and forth very, very rarely on Instagram. But that person messaged me yesterday, and they're like, hey, I've got this loaded up in my car. It's about to go to the dump. Do you want it? I will even drop it off at your house. So they brought me a 65 gallon, which it's a footprint of a 55, but it's 2 foot tall. It's 25 inches tall with the trim.
Nice.
And it's got a really nice stand to it. Now by really nice, it is the press board material, but it's got like the really fancy hardware on the cabinet and all that stuff. It was, I'm sure, a very expensive piece when first purchased, and even now used, you could still get a decent bit of money for it. But I had to set it up. I couldn't let it go to the dump, and that's part of why they messaged me. They're like, I really don't want this thing to go to the dump, but I thought of you, can I drop it off to you? I was like, yes, please, and thank you very much.
That's awesome.
That's one of those tanks that kind of fits in the oddball category. You don't really see those a whole lot. I've got certain tanks that, even though they're semi-standard, I won't get rid of. That'll be one of them. The 55 that I got from Sean Peck, that'll be one of them, just because that came from Peck Tech. So I'm like, that was Sean's 55. That one's not going anywhere. I've got one of the old school 55s with the super thick glass on it. That thing's not going to go anywhere. It's one of the old ones that has no center bracing, just really thick glass. So yeah, I set up a new aquarium while downsizing aquariums. Go figure. But it's going to help accommodate in kind of taking some smaller tanks and combining them. I don't know. I've thought about a couple different directions to go with it. It's really neat since it's 2 foot tall. I really, really enjoy looking at it. So I'm not 100% mind made up on what direction I want to go with it. So feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know what you think I should do with it. But yeah, really, really, really neat. And I just love the fact that, through one interaction at a hardware store with an individual, a year later, they're like, hey, free tank and stand delivered to you. And it happened the day I was downsizing. Gotta love that. Let me get up here and thank Carrie Habercorn. Carrie, I really do appreciate you. There's a $10 super sticker out there with the Flying Superhero pair. Awesome. Thank you for that, Carrie. Hope you're having a great day.
One Dirty Platty asks, what's the best way to clean carpet in your fish room?
More fish water. More cowbell.
Okay. And then he says, why would anybody have carpet in their fish room? Well, a lot of people have the room before they have their fish.
Yes.
But like James and I both have been in the most immaculate fish room ever, and it had the most beautiful white carpet in the world. So
yes,
it can definitely be done.
Absolutely. I do not know how Lucas does it. It's amazing that it is like spotless carpet with all of those aquariums.
But I like what Zen said. She said rent a rug doctor from Kroger's or Lowe's or whatever or wherever.
Absolutely.
I actually bought a handheld steam cleaner so I could clean my car, but it also works for cat barf and spills.
Right. I would say I really like the steam cleaner, even like a shop vac. If you're having to clean carpet in terms of maybe you got some water saturated into it, shop vac is great. The risk is very, 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 very minimal that you end up introducing chemicals into your fish tanks via a rug doctor or anything like that. But it is potentially possible. You've got this thing that is, it's misting a liquid chemical and it's spraying it and then it's flinging it back up and there's suction and all that. The potential's there. I mean, even the fumes. I often wonder, especially now that I have a linear air pump, I'm always worried about things getting sprayed near that air pump and then drawn through and pushed into the water column. Let's see. Lions Den says, just listed all my Bloody Mary shrimp on Get Gills. Thanks. Awesome. Glad to hear it. And congratulations. I love the fact that you've got, you've shrimp bred out and, enough to be able to go on and sell and hopefully make some money to put back into the hobby or whatever your needs are. But yeah, that's good ways to get carpet clean. See, we got 5 minutes here. You roll on down. Make sure I didn't miss anybody else over on this screen. Oh, it looks like we got to carry. I don't see anything underneath that. It does this funny thing where it always hides the bottom one. All right, no, we are good. Good. Use Dawn instead of Spick and Span. Yeah, absolutely. I can't talk about that.
Okay.
I can't. Well, so let me just say I had a thought based upon something that I was privileged enough to get to watch that's not public yet. But I had a thought regarding doing a testing potentially, and I want to look into it more because I know Dawn is used for wildlife a lot. Fisher Aquatics says, nice hat, Fisher and Fever. Thank you. Again, shout out to Corey at Aquarium Co-op. He was cool enough to send Ed and myself and several people hat and shirt and a couple cool things like that. A couple of towels. I did an unboxing. So not sponsored, but I always like to be very clear that I did get a free hat. So take that for what it's worth when you listen to our recommendations. Yeah, I need to do mine like Ed's and put it on top there. But I love the co-op hats. We've both bought
if you're
so
gonna
much.
Get compliments, I'm gonna wear one.
Absolutely. No, Ed, you've got the beard. At least let me have the hat compliments. Come on now. I gotta get some sort of compliments around here.
All right. I'll put it back.
Yeah, only original blue on. Absolutely. And I remember that from being a kid and growing up, with marine life and on the ocean and all that. But I'm very curious as to looking at very scientific testing with maybe some feeder fish and getting a very precise dosage of point whatever mLs would equate to this percentage in X amount of gallons to see what impact it would have. Because fish live in really dirty environments in nature. And there's a lot of stuff that gets in there. But you mentioned the Dawn, and I just found that funny because I was having that thought a couple hours ago. Like, I'd like to do a scientific testing of, what does, we'll just say 1 drop. I want to get scientific numbers and actual legitimate measurements. But what does 1 drop in a 55-gallon do? Does it have any effect? I wouldn't think it'd have any effect, but, it'd be nice to know. All right. Make sure I am caught up there. Kathy Kirkham, appreciate you being here. Says, that's what happens to me. Free tanks, but sometimes you got a nice big bow for free, and now it's a festive tank. Yeah. So one thing I will say with free tanks, always be aware of seals. Never do. I see my camera freaking out. Now, my chat covers myself and part of Ed on my screen, and now I see my camera going nuts. Fortunately, we've got 2 minutes left, so we're about to head over to Jeffro's anyways, and I can smack it around a little bit once I get off of here. But be aware of seals. I did that one thing you should never do, and that's fill up a 65-gallon aquarium and leak test it in the hallway.
I have a seal.
Stay tuned to see how that goes. Oh, that's a cute seal. That seal's welcome anywhere.
Yep, it's...
I don't know. That's a mean seal. Did somebody try and take his fish? That's how I look if you try and take my fish away.
Actually, that seal just wiped out both little guys that were the creature and Lecter in one shot.
Oh, wow. Well, see, they needed to add that ending to the movie. This giant seal comes in and just, there you go. Excuse me.
That'll be Godzilla Part 3. Godzilla versus the seal.
I love it. I absolutely love it. It says, Fisher Fever and Ed, since I came in so late to the stream, how have you guys and your family been doing? Everybody's doing pretty well. Shy Guy Mrs. Fever is still dealing with the torn Achilles and the blown plantar fascia. So that's, of course, made life interesting. But just living the fishy dream. And that's thanks to you all. All the love and support that we get on here allows me to be able to continue to do that. Thankfully, because having to be home with the kids right now, since she can't even really get up, I don't know how else I'd be doing it if I weren't already here. So I love you guys for that. Very much do appreciate it.
My back's been killing me. My spine. It feels like I have a stomach ache, but it's in my spine. Not been fun.
I'm fangirling out right now. I just want to say hi, Simply Betta. Appreciate you swinging by. We are headed out, unfortunately, but I appreciate you coming through. I saw the name pop in. I was like, hey, Simply Betta's here. What's up? Xanadu with the $5 super chat for the Inler Project. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm doing something we've talked about a little bit. I'm not going to share what it was. We talked about it, crossing a couple different strains. Those of you all that have been in all the chats know what we're talking about, but we're going to see what happens when you mix a couple different fish. So thank you very much for that, Xanadu. Appreciate it. I will keep you updated, and you'll have to let me know if you do the same, and we can kind of compare results and have a little scientific study going on.
Xanadu is awesome.
Absolutely. All right. I am a minute into Jeff Rose Fish Keeping's time, and I don't like to step on anybody's toes. I appreciate that simply, and that's good to know. I was watching some of your stuff earlier. It was an older video, but it showed up on my suggested. I was watching that about 5:30 this morning. So nice to see you. Let's go hang out with Jeff Rose Fish Keeping. I don't want to step on his toes. I appreciate all of you. I really, really do. I want you to know I love you guys, and I love spending time with you. Stay tuned Thursday. We are going to have Sean Peck on the Aquaholics Anonymous live stream Thursday after KG Tropicals. Turn it over to Ed.
Yep, at 10 o'clock tonight, I'm going to be on with Priscilla on her show, so that'll be fun. And on Pam's show tonight, she is going to be painting a commission that I paid her to do. So that's kind of cool. So I'm looking forward to watching her paint my painting. Or, well, it's actually I asked for pencils because I like pencils a lot. So cool.
Very nice. Well, I want to say a huge thank you to all the members, moderators, lurkers, listeners, super chatters, questioners, commentators, and contributors. All you awesome people on the replay crew. Love you guys. Till next time, keep your fish healthy. Keep yourselves healthy. Catch yourself a little fish room fever. Go check out Jeff Rose Live now. Peace.